Hi, in this tutorial we will be looking at making a very basic or very simple mech. I'm going to have a look at a few sort of reference images here. So one of the most important parts of building something like this, which is very complex, is to get the scale correct. So having a character or objects or an environment that gives scale to your model, it's very important. Now all of these examples here are super detailed. This is the one that's of most interest to me, because it's got, I just like the way it's made. It's very simple. It's like it's made from scrap metal or something. Obviously they've cut this out so we can see inside, but I like the way it's put together. But importantly, it has scale as well, so we have a character here to give us some idea of the scale of it. Obviously we can see inside, so we can see the seat, so that's helpful too. So I'm going to start in Photoshop. I suppose the sort of things that we need in Photoshop, this is going to be really rough, so we want sort of the joints that are going to come out of the that we're going to use. Now for this I want, this will become apparent in a moment, sort of a reverse leg. The most important part of a mech like this will be these joints here. So the kind of the articulate sort of parts of the mech. So what I want is sort of a joint here, and then this will be sort of the back of the mech pod, and then I'm going to put a dome at the front. This is where our pilot is going to sit, and this is going to be like a weight on the back of this leg. So that's it from the side. So we've got rough scale here. I can I was going to put in guidelines, but we'll just use our eye here. So this will be sort of the top, and we'll have our dome come in. Our dome's going to end around there, and we'll probably have cylindrical bars that are going around. We'll have some sort of a spacer here where the legs come out, so they're not touching the actual body of the mech. And then again we'll have sort of a knee joint, and then from that we'll have our weights, and roughly the same on this side. I said this is just a very rough guide, and then we go back down to our feet, our base. So now we could bring this into Blender, but the scale of it's so poor that it's not going to be much good to us as a as a blueprint. So instead I'm just going to go in here into Blender, and we're just going to start. Now you probably saw in the example pictures I had a chair, so I'm going to start with making a really basic interior. One of the most important things to remember when you're making a model, something as complex as a mech, is that the complexity takes time. So what you want to build at the beginning is sort of a very simple frame, and then build upon that frame to get some complexity. So I'm going to start with a seat. So I'm going to go to front orthographic. I'm going to use my cube here, in wireframe mode. I'm not actually going to model with this cube. I'm going to call n here, and I'm going to call this scale reference. So this is 2 meters. So this is the height of a human being. So I'm going to add another cube, and I'm going to scale it down. And this is going to be my chair. Very basic chair. So we're going to go into edit mode. Shift D is duplicate. Rotate it 90 degrees. Move this to here. Look from the front. I'm going to add in a loop cut. And a loop cut, and you'll see why in a minute. I'm going to delete this half of the model. And then over here under our constraints, I'm going to add a mirror modifier. So you can see that this has geometry on both sides, even though I've only put geometry on one side. So the mirror modifier allows us to have geometry on both sides. So I'm going to take this and go L, which is select all linked, Shift D. Okay, and then I want sort of a frame that's going to go all the way around it, so I'm going to put my cursor here. I'm going to add a circle. I get to determine how many vertices are in the circle. This is going to be really crude, so I'm going to put in 8, something tiny. Scale it all the way in, look from the front, rotate it 90 degrees, extrude on X, E to extrude, escape, or 45. So I'm just going to go G, move this by I, and extrude again, hit escape, or 45, and just again move this by I, extrude it vertically down, extrude it, or minus 45, put it into position, extrude, extrude, and as far as here, and so I'm just doing some basic sort of freehand modeling. And extrude this forward on Y. About there. And then we can do the same with this. So extrude, right, now there's a function here called clipping. With clipping, if I go GX, I try to cross the center of the model. They just butt and meet each other. And if I turn it off, I can go across. I do not want to go across the divide. I'll end up with geometry on both sides, which, while wouldn't kill me now, will make things unusable at a later date. Okay, so I'm going to select it all, Control N, which is invert normals. This here has no face, so we'll go face, bring this in a bit, and then I'm bring back into wireframe mode, and we'll just tidy this up. So we'll select this and go GZ, select this and not that, go GX, and do the same with this here. Again, I don't want that or that. So that's a fairly basic setup now. What I do need is I'm going to go to face select this guy here, E, S, S, X, and then extrude that down so that there's some sort of connection between these two that are just floating in space. And we'll go in and we'll add a few loop cuts here, and the exact amount doesn't really matter. Do the same here. I'm going to put in a loop cut, and one there and one there. Now let's see what I can do with this. So it's like that one and that one and that one, and go GY. Just going to put a pattern in the seat. So GZ. Okay. So we'll set it all to smooth. And then we'll add a subdivision surface modifier. Now, with a subdivision surface modifier, there comes a couple of interesting things to fix. So this has become too spherical, so we'll add in a loop cut. This is control or to give it back a better shape, and yeah, the rest is fine there. Again, we probably need some sort of extrusion out of this to make it a bit more believable. So do the same with the base of the chair, and so that gives us a little bit of scope there. We'll take this guy, extrude him down, and then extrude him down a good bit, and then we'll go Shift S, cursor just selected from the top. I'm going to turn off clipping for this and add a circle. Now it's slightly off center, so I'm going to go GX, just bring it in. Okay, and then S. Now I'm going to go GZ, scale this guy in. Okay. So he's basically lost inside that one. And we're going to go E and scale him out. Move him down a little bit. Make a little step. We can kind of leave that at that. We could add a whole bunch more detail in here, and we probably will, but not right now. So that can be the chair that our pilot's going to sit on, and I've chosen to do this first simply because it gives us scale. So the rest of the mech, it will be built around this object here. So we're going to stop at this stage here, and we'll call that, mech stage 1. Then we'll move on to building the pod, then the frame of the pod, and then we'll go into making the legs. So we'll just go save as on my desktop. I'll call this so mech stage 1. Oh, that's mesh, so mech. Okay, and we'll finish up at at that for this time, and in the next tutorial we'll start building the pod that this is going to sit into.